Hello, everybody, to another interview on our channel, this time with the CEO of Career Chain, Ray Gibson. Hello, Ray. How are you doing?
Hi, good morning. Yeah, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm really good. Yeah, let's start right away with the interview. I want to start with giving you about 2 minutes to maybe explain us what Career Chain is about, if you would like.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the invitation today. It's great to share our vision and idea and what stage we're at with Career Chain and our ICO. Some context. So I've been in the recruiting business for almost 20 years as a recruiter, a headhunter, a HR director. My co-founder, Andrew Evans, was on the founding team of careerbuilder.com in the US, the first job board in the world back in 1995. And we've been running a current business called Start Monday. We've taken that from an Amsterdam-based startup to a public listed company in the US and Canada on those stock markets. And there was another big problem that we wanted to solve, and that was job applications, because the world over the last 20 years that we've both been in the market has been evolving. The internet and the mobile generation has really kicked off. And so jobs have become much easier to find. But the process of applying for jobs has actually remained largely unchanged. It's very tedious for job seekers or candidates. They're constantly required to re-enter the same information over and over again to apply for jobs. And the result of this is that the conversion is extremely low. So employers are spending 200 billion a year on job ads. They have jobs to fill, but their conversion on mobile particularly can be as low as 1.5%. So a lot of their investment is actually going out the window. And the reason for this is because there's no standard way of applying for jobs. They have to re-enter the same information on the same computer. It's difficult to apply for jobs from a mobile phone. And so there was no global standard for applying for jobs or sharing career histories. And so we built one, and that is Career Chain. And that's why we're here talking today.
Great. And I see with your previous company, with this company, you mentioned that applying for a job through a mobile device, it's something you're quite passionate about, and you think that's a thing for the future?
Yeah, for those who are tracking the job market, this is actually nothing new. 86% of job seekers are searching for jobs on their phones. A very small percentage, depending on which site you're looking at, maybe 11%, 15%, actually end up applying for a job from their phone. And the reason is logical, that if you try to do this, if you search for jobs, you end up at a screen where you have to type in lots of text, or you have to go and grab documents that you don't have on your phone. And the other issue is that even when people find jobs, not that many people then remember the job and come back later on in the day or the next day on desktop to apply. So the marketing spend that's being invested by employers through job boards is therefore wasted, and that's something that we want to solve.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about your team, who is involved in your team, and what about the technical side also of the team? That would be interesting, I think.
Sure, yeah. So we've been working together for the last 3 to 4 years in our current business in Start Monday. So we already have products and services built, released, tested, field tested, and being used by customers. So we're not a new team. That's important to point out. My co-founder and I, started Start Monday, as we mentioned, and built that team up. And then we've brought in special talent for this project, for Career Chain, obviously in the blockchain space. So we have, for example, Douwe Bart Mulder, who is a blockchain enthusiast and a crypto enthusiast. He's been using Bitcoin since 2009, built the first Bitcoin ATM in Europe, actually, in 2013. And he's one of our technical architects. We brought in a gentleman called Andre van der Heijden, who's also in the Netherlands with us. He works on a project with an insurance consortium, helping to bring insurance contracts onto the blockchain. And then we have a product owner who's making sure we're building something that's really meaningful for customers. He's called Lev Tatarov, also sits with us here in Amsterdam, and he comes from Optimizely and eBay. And then we have our whole development team on the back end and the front end of mobile apps that we've been using from the Start Monday team. The Start Monday has been actually incubating Career Chain over the last 6 to 7 months to build this out into a proof of concept end to end and actually prepare the token sale.
And so are you integrating Career Chain into the whole Start Monday ecosystem you already built? Like what you said, Start Monday is already publicly listed.
Yeah.
It's already quite a huge company and most likely working internationally. So how can Career Chain fit into this one?
Yeah, it's a good question. So the brands are mutually supportive, but also separate. So Career Chain benefits from having some credibility from the Start Monday environment situation, a safe place to, innovate and grow. But Career Chain has already been established as a separate legal entity, actually as a foundation, which is a stichting in the Netherlands. So nobody owns Career Chain, although we've incubated it. We've actually kind of given it away. And Start Monday is just retaining some of the tokens from the token sale, 15%, so that Start Monday can earn proof of stake rewards in the future. So the other part of your question was, how will these brands work together in the future? Well, the client partners of Career Chain are job boards and applicant tracking systems. And for those who are not familiar, applicant tracking systems are simply the platform that you use to track candidates when they apply through interview, through hiring, and on into your team. So it's a candidate management system. So Start Monday is an applicant tracking system. So it will be one of the first clients of Career Chain, actually. And that will mean that Career Chain instantly has some reach to some of the customer base that Start Monday has, people like intercontinental hotels across Europe. But we're also talking already, because we know a lot of these guys over the last decades, with the leading job boards in the world and with the leading applicant tracking systems, not just in Europe, but also in North America. And the expectation is to launch in September with a full product release at the same time as the main sale for the ICO. And we'll be launching with a selection of what we're calling whitelisted clients. So Start Monday will just be one of those. I'm expecting to have a couple of large job boards and a couple of large ATSs. So does that answer your question? Yeah.
Yes,
how it fits together? Okay. So that they're very distinct brands and visions. It's just that we're sharing resources at the moment because it's very efficient and convenient, and it's working out in terms of incubating this.
And how do you also tackle the task that job applicants can, of course, cheat a little bit on their resume, and people assume that if you, for example, put your resume on a blockchain, maybe with Career Chain, how do you validate the job experience of a candidate?
That's a great question, yeah, and it's a question that's been coming up a couple of times. So the way that Career Chain works is a candidate goes to a partner site to apply for a job as normal. They enter their information when they're applying for that job. And when they are working through that, they see a notification that this could be the last time that they have to apply for a job in this way. They have to enter the same information. So when they accept that their data can be saved onto the blockchain as a Career Chain profile, then three things will happen. One is they actually apply for the job that they're viewing. The second thing is that their Career Chain profile is saved. And the third thing is that after that, they can apply to every other job with one click with their Career Chain profile. So this is applying for jobs using a blockchain profile, a Career Chain profile. And that's the base layer of Career Chain. That's just like the very bottom of this. On top of that, you can have additional services. And so one of those, as you quite rightly point out, is verification. So you can go back as a candidate and pick out the past employers and have them verify that the information you've stored in your Career Chain profile is actually true. And we've interviewed a lot of employers and people in the job market and asked them what their expectations are of this. And it's actually quite simple. Although people spend a lot of time ringing around, making phone calls and trying to clarify candidates' experience, what they actually really care about is very simple. It's usually the start and end date of a job and the job title. And if someone's able to verify that a candidate did what they said they did from the time they said they did it. That goes a very long way, and the rest is quite, you know, subjective, whether they were great or not. And you have all of the human problems attached with reference checks, that people are generally quite polite and don't like to speak bad about others. But the hard data is start and end date, and what was the work that they actually did. So Start Monday is actually building a Verify service, but we won't be the only one. CareerChain is an open foundation. Anyone with a great idea can build a service on top of CareerChain. So I do expect that we will be competing with other background check firms or reference check systems. Yeah.
And so this is an interesting topic. Like, how does other applications can build on top of CareerChain? So you're building more or less also a platform where other companies can build something on top?
Exactly. Yeah, this is just the base layer. And once you have profiles saved, then you have fantastic potential to innovate on top of that. You don't need permission from CareerChain to connect. It's open, it's out there, it's decentralized. Don't ask me, please, technically how that works, whether it's an SDK or not, but we've got our guys ready on that. But yeah, and also the foundation's job is to make CareerChain a global standard. And so one of the things that the foundation does is find and fund solutions. So we're going to be hosting hackathons all around the world. We're already in talks with partners in New York, in Switzerland, in Tel Aviv, and in Seoul and Tokyo, so that we can host hackathons for teams and developers that want to build solutions on top of CareerChain. So we're targeting 25 million from the main sale, and most of that money will actually go towards marketing and PR for the platform, including some grants for development teams. So they come, for example, for 48 hours to a hackathon, they make it through to, say, the last 8 or 10, and some of those teams will get funded by CareerChain, by the CareerChain Foundation, for example, $100,000 to go and build out their idea and their pitch into a working prototype or an MVP.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you're contributing a little bit also to the space, not only developing your own product, but also going around the world and making meetups, being out there. And so I think that covers a good part of your project. At Big Crypto, at our YouTube channel, we focus on the investment side of the ICO, of course. But so let's talk a little bit about how the ICO is structured, what an early investor in your ICO can let's see what he can expect from your ICO. Let's start with what is the potential of your company? Where do you see it's in the next 1 year, 2 years going?
Yeah, so CareerChain will be a global brand. When people think of the job market today, brands like Indeed and Monster and LinkedIn come to mind. Among those brands will also be CareerChain as a global standard, a way of applying for jobs much more efficiently. So it will become a well-known name. We actually have a job seeker brand as well that we're just fleshing out, which is much shorter and more catchy, easy to remember. We feel that CareerChain is a great name and brand for the foundation and for employers and partners, but we're actually introducing a new brand name for job seekers, and that will be very well known among the job seeker community. And so you will see that everybody partners with CareerChain. We don't replace Indeed or LinkedIn or Monster or Career Builder or any other job board. We integrate with them and make the job market much more fluid and much more efficient.
Okay.
And you will see CareerChain and those brands not just in Europe or North America, but also in Asia.
Perfect. And who are your competitors at the moment? Are there any out there?
Yeah, I mean, we're not operating in a vacuum, of course. And we see, so for example, we might be compared to other solutions to applying for jobs. Indeed has Indeed Apply. If you have an Indeed profile, you can use that to apply for jobs very easily on Indeed. Monster also has its own profile on their platform, and Of course, there are LinkedIn profiles that you can apply for. The thing with these is that they're very good in their own platform, on their own site, but they don't travel very well. Understandably, competitors to Indeed and Monster, etc., are not very willing to adopt a competitor's profile. And so Career Chain, being an open foundation, is able to work across all of these and partner with everybody, and at the same time not compete with them. So
I think that's a big part of trying to cooperate with all the big names already out, all the centralized big names out there, and showing that you will be part of the solution and not their competitor.
Yeah, and being non-proprietary, and Career Chain not being a profit-seeking organization, but being a foundation, it helps everybody to connect. We've had excellent feedback from the partners that we've already approached, different job boards and ATSs. They're not threatened by us at all. They just want to be in first. So we actually don't really have an issue with getting these guys excited. They are excited, and they're kind of in a race to get into the first release. The reason being because if they can get their candidates registered first, then they get some attribution rewards. They get some kind of provenance over the candidates, because every time a profile is used, there's a small transaction fee for processing, and a part of that goes to the people that actually help sign them up.
So it comes to the next question, like how is the token being used? What's the token value? And especially for the ICO investors, how do they see, what is the incentive for people to come into the ecosystem of Career Chain? How do you manage to get more and more people to sign up for your application and also your service?
Well, it's a big area, so I'll do my best to break this down. So it is a utility token. The Career Chain token will be valued in the beginning at $1. So nice and simple. And tokens are used by, for example, job boards to pay transaction fees on the platform. So they must pay in tokens. When a job board makes use of a Career Chain profile to help a candidate apply with one click, they pay a small transaction fee in tokens, and it will be a fraction of $1. It won't be more than that. But that transaction fee is then split into two components. So one is an attribution reward that comes back to the job board that originally signed that candidate up on Career Chain. And then the second part is a proof of stake reward for the token holders that help to validate the blocks on the blockchain. So that's the simplest form of the business model. Now, for people buying tokens at this stage, they have several advantages. So the tokens are discounted in the private sale by 40%. So a token costs only 60 cents. They can also participate in the proof of stake consensus model. So they can host a node, which is really simple. It's not as complex as mining, of course. It's a connected device. The big discussion is, how will the token value evolve over time? And the way this works is that token value is driven by adoption on the platform. And so we've been running models and simulations to check how this will go. Basically, the token value is appreciating as the number of candidates on the platform increases, and also as the number of partners accessing those candidate profiles increases. What happens there is that the velocity of token use goes up, because there are more and more people actually viewing and processing those candidate profiles, those Career Chain profiles. So the velocity is increasing, the quantity of profiles is increasing. That is actually increasing the price per profile. So if you know this MV equals PQ equation, so we've already got Q, the quantity, P, the price per profile, because it's more valuable and more people want to see it. The velocity is increasing because there's more traffic through the platform. And because we have a fixed number of tokens, the M in that equation, the monetary value of tokens, can only go one way. If there's more demand and the supply is fixed, then the monetary value has to go up. And it can't go up with the number of tokens, so the value per token has to increase.
Okay, that's a good long-term projection. Let's focus a little bit on the short-term projection, especially for ICO and the first half year. You said the private sale has a discount of 40%. Is there any minimum investment?
Yeah, there's a $50,000 minimum investment. we can take Ether or fiat currency.
Mm-hmm.
So it's minimum 50,000, maximum of 500,000.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that is to put, sorry to interrupt you, that's just to have a ceiling there to prevent anybody dominating the sale or moving the market after main sale.
Yeah. And what is the hard cap of the ICO?
And the hard cap is 50 million. For the main sale, there's a hard cap of the private sale right now of 10 million.
Mm-hmm.
So we're leaving plenty of scope. We're targeting 5 million for the private sale and 25 million for the main sale.
So the difference between if you raise 25 million and 50 million, so what would you do with the different amount of money if you raise it?
Yeah, we would use that extra money to accelerate the expansion of CareerChain. So 25 million, we can do everything that we've described in terms of getting the platform launched in September, getting the brands known by job seekers, especially in Europe and North America. The big difference is that we would actually set up parallel teams in other continents, in Southeast Asia, Asia, Middle East, for example, South America, and we would really have CareerChain spreading out globally much, much faster than if we had the 25.
Okay, perfect. For the normal ICO investor, do you have any other discounts for investors who can't afford 50,000?
Yes, we do. In the pre-ICO, which will be from the 19th of September, it will be quite short, so you want to get looking out for that date very, very soon. There'll be 7 to 10 days where we have a 20% discount, so it will be 80 cents per token, and that particular part of the ICO will be limited to 10 million, $10 million. Also, either paid in Ether or dollars or euros or fiat currency.
Okay,
we also have, it's worth pointing out, we have a 5% referral bonus. So if somebody brings an investor to us, someone wants to purchase tokens either now or in the future, whenever they do that, then that referrer gets 5% bonus in tokens.
Okay. For after the ICO, do you have any plans for community management or community developing for like what 2018 quite successful, or what people like is our airdrops or other community management developing tools?
Yeah, we're looking at that currently. We're kicking off our community building right now. We're at the beginning of this, and it's great to do this interview with you, for example. But we've been very busy with the concept and getting everything, built end to end on our side, and then getting the private sale up and running. Now that that is up and running, we're doing much more of this outreach and engagement and social media, and so we'll be building the community all the way up to the ICO. But it won't stop there, because then it transitions in being to a live platform, and then tokens are actually being traded on an exchange, and people have even more questions about CareerChain. So we will just carry on, and we'll have a community team in-house and also agencies helping us to reach out to more people. So people will have their questions answered. I will personally be very engaged, and I'm starting to make very regular videos. I did one from Budapest the other night after an event at Blockchainium in Hungary, and I think it's important to be as transparent as possible, and to be as responsive as we can on whichever channels people prefer, whether it's Telegram or Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn. It doesn't really matter. So we'll be picking those up, and our antennae will be listening.
Perfect. Couple more short questions. For the private investors, is there any vesting period? For of course, people who invest in ICO don't get the 40% discount. They are scared that those private investors, after they make, let's say, 50% or 100% revenue, they just dump the coins on the exchange, and then the price just drops under the ICO price.
Yeah, that's a good question. There is a lockup period. It lasts until the 31st of December this year, so it takes us well past the main sale. So there will not be the possibility for people to dump coins during the main sale or shortly after. And I also go further and say that I'm personally talking to everyone that comes into the private round myself. and we're picking people that are interested in the long-term vision of this. And also, many of the investors in the private sale are not actually speculative investors in terms of how the token value is going to go for them, so that they can just sell it quickly. They're not, interested in flipping the coins. Most of them are actually users of the platform. So there's a very large staffing agency, for example, that wants to buy at the maximum amount allowed in the private sale, because they're actually going to use them on the platform, and it's better for them to buy them at 40% discount now than to buy them at the full price in September or October. So people like that, a lot of those are making up the private round anyway. So never say never, but we're doing as much as we can to protect the interests of investors in the main sale.
Do you have any specific exchange you plan? Well, it's quite early, but what kind of level of exchanges do you plan to put Career Chain first? It's also a big issue with coins. Some coins wait for months after the ICO to go on exchange. Some coins manage to go a couple of days after the ICO ended. And for the regular ICO investor, it's always better to have the exchange almost ready after the ICO, and also have an exchange with a good volume, of course.
Yeah. We have several that we're in discussion with already. I don't want to quote some names because I think that would be misleading right now, because they're not signed off. But we're picking between several at quite high level and mid level, because our platform goes live at the same time as the main sale. So we have to have an exchange at that moment, actually.
It's also a question I was, so you're developing your own blockchain.
Yeah, it's a private instance of Ethereum. Yeah.
And so you're going to have your own coin. It's not a token. You're going to have your own coin.
Mm-hmm.
Am I right? You have your own blockchain. It will be ready at the end of the ICO. This is really good. A lot of
at the start of the ICO. So when the main sale opens on the 19th of September, the platform is actually live and being used by job boards.
Wow.
And tokens are in use. And we took a decision that was very important, that people could see it running while they were considering investing. Then that removes any speculation of, will this work? Do they know what they're doing? Can they release this? Can they get it to market? No, that's all going to be there. And the exchange is running as well. So
you're going to have an alpha version of your platform already running for the ICO, or even a beta version?
Beta version, yeah.
Beta version. Yeah. Wow, that beats a lot of ICOs in the market right there. If you have the beta version running, if you have the test or the mainnet even running, if you have your own coin, if you have strategic partners already, you got your seed funding already, that beats, I think, 95% of all ICOs out there at the market at the moment. And also, if you're
building and releasing products and winning clients, for us, we've been doing for a long time. So that, for us, that's the easiest part. The more difficult part is the new section for us, which is the ICO itself. And we've chosen some very good partnerships. We're working with 7 Markets, one of the top ICO promoters in the world. And so, yeah, we're getting some very good help and advice on that, so that we can concentrate much more on execution. And we lean on the community builders to help us reach out to people interested in the token sale.
Amazing. Sounds good. Yeah, I think that covers almost everything which is important for people who are interested in the technology and interested in the product you're releasing, and also for people who are investors in the space and are looking for really good investment opportunities. It looks like a really good investment opportunity, especially that you have a plan for the money you will raise. You have a huge plan if you want to expand worldwide with all the offices you wanna set up in the world. And maybe you want to use the last 2 minutes to make like a last statement, or what you want to tell the audience, maybe? Yeah,
thank you. It's worth pointing out this is a mass market solution. We might be compared, for example, to LinkedIn or some other solutions, and you can also maybe compare us to Doc.io. They are really focusing on Doc.io in particular, focusing on the gig economy and freelancers and technical professionals. but that's really a niche. And what we focus on is the mass market. The majority of jobs are occupied by people in lower to middle income bracket. That's the majority of the workforce and the population, actually. And so we often give this example. Imagine, the 19 or 20-year-old applying to work at a supermarket. They don't have a LinkedIn profile, and they're not interested in what a wallet is and how that works. They don't want to be burdened with all of that extra information. They just want to apply for this job so they can earn some extra cash while they're studying or whatever they want to do with it. And so we don't put tokens in their way. They don't need to know what Ether is or Bitcoin or get involved. They can simply use the career chain profiles and apply. And what that means is that this is a really scalable solution. This is for everybody in the world. It's not just for a niche of people that understand how blockchain works. It's really important to point that out. And then the last thing I'll say is that this is a kind of a collaborative disruptor. We're disrupting the job market, but we're taking everybody with us. And when you look at the HR space and the job market, as I said at the beginning of this talk, not that much has changed in the last 20 years. It's really the time for this to evolve. And it's very common for old technology to be upgraded and replaced. And you look at the history of this, you can look at, for example, Kodak, was replaced by Nokia, basically, in their market position with all the camera phones. And then Nokia was replaced by the iPhone. And when we look at the job space, we see all of the older technologies, basically Indeed, Career Builder, Monster, and LinkedIn now is actually an aging technology. They're not really innovating in any way. Those brand names will need to join in the career chain revolution, or they will be left behind. They will find that everybody else has career chain profiles and they don't, and they try to preserve their little corner, and then it just becomes prehistoric. So we are disrupting this $200 billion market and having a lot of fun, and looking forward to sharing stories along the way.
Perfect. I'm gonna make a short resume also for the average investor out there.
Yeah.
So with Career Chain, you have a broad market with everybody who is applying for jobs, not only people who are applying for jobs which require a nice CV online like LinkedIn. Like the average guy who wants to have a job in the supermarket and basically everywhere, and also wants to apply through his mobile, wants to have it easy on the go, can use Career Chain. Career Chain is a decentralized platform. It's not a centralized company. You're building basically your own blockchain, which already established centralized companies like LinkedIn or Monster or other job platforms can integrate with. So you just make your own profile. Like me, for example, I can make my own profile, then up there, link it to maybe LinkedIn and send this profile. My profile can get also very validated through my old employee. So if if a company who is looking for people to hire, they have the proof right there in your platform. They don't need to go the long haul by calling all the companies of all their applicants. So this is generally the idea you're having. You want to make this company worldwide. That's why you are raising 50 million is the hard cap. You want to raise 25 million to set up offices in the major parts of the world. If you can raise 50 million, you're going to use this extra money to set up offices and to establish Career Chain all over other evolving markets like Asia, and getting community managers and offices up there and running. Your ICO will start on the 19th of September. The pre-ICO will start on the 19th of September. There's a 20% discount for investors. It will last for 7 to 10 days. There will be $10 million to raise on the pre-ICO. You will have a 5% referral bonus if people can refer friends or partners to your project. The amazing part about the project is you're going to have your own blockchain. It's not based on another blockchain. The blockchain will be running, the mainnet will be running at the ICO date. You're trying to get good exchanges. You're trying to get the coin on good exchanges as soon as possible after the ICO, so the investor can hopefully trade those coins right away after the ICO. You're going to have a proof of stake method. So with this, you want to incentivize people to hold their coins and maybe run masternodes. I didn't get that perfectly if you gonna have them or not, but I think it's until September. You still have a lot of time to figure that out. I think that sums up everything quite well for the average investor. The last thing, you're gonna have a running prototype. You're gonna have not an MVP. You're not gonna have an alpha. You're gonna have a beta version of your product running during the ICO, which beats 95-98% of all the ICOs out there in the market at the moment.
And we have the private sale running now until the 22nd of June, and that's minimum 50,000, a maximum 500,000 investment.
Perfect. Okay, yeah. I think that sums it up. Ray, thank you so much.
Good stuff. Thank you, Sasha.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to following your journey of career change along the way this year, and maybe doing some more interviews in the future, and of course, do some ICO reviews about your ICO and your company.
All right, keep in touch. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.